Every creation, from the most distant galaxy that flowers in the dark to the oak that patiently rises from the humblest acorn, begins the same way as a silent intention pressed into the fabric of possibility. Your life as you find it, your health, your work, your relationships, your capacity to hope has followed that same law. It is the harvest of seeds once entrusted to an inner field, sometimes purposefully, often by habit or neglect. Within you live two presences, the gardener and the garden. The gardener is that vigilant sentry you call the conscious mind, capable of choosing, comparing, planning, doubting, correcting course. It looks outward, consults the weather studies. The season decides which seeds might serve you now. The garden is different. It is the deep, dark loam below, thought the subconscious patient, loyal, inexhaustibly fecund. It does not sit in judgment of the seed. Offer it thistle, or rose fear, or courage, and it answers with the same unwavering obedience growth. Most lives derail, not because the soil refuses to give, but because we've lived as drowsy gardeners, letting itinerant winds drop into our earth, whatever they carry, a rumor of scarcity, a story of unworthiness, an inherited caution, masquerading as wisdom. When the time for harvest comes, we stare at a field braided with weeds and wonder who planted them. This work, your work, is the awakening of the gardener, a remembering of the immense and quiet power granted to the one who chooses. You do not have to bully reality into submission. You do not have to wrestle the world to the ground. You need only offer the mind a better blueprint. The soil is ready. It has always been ready. What changes a life is not a louder will, but a clearer design, an image more compelling than the old reflex, a decree more convincing than the stale command. The subconscious is not a mysterious adversary to be conquered, but the most faithful ally you possess, a servant whose only vice is perfect compliance with whatever it believes to be true. If it has enacted a drama of limitation, it is because it was handed a script of limitation and told, long ago, this is you. Today, you will write another. Consider how closely this mirrors the discoveries of science. Neuroplasticity names. What sages intuited, repeated thoughts carve tracks in the brain grooves, down which attention and action prefer to run. Each rehearsal of worry or gratitude, resentment or praise, deepens those tracks, making the next rehearsal effortless. Epigenetics adds a further kindness to the story. Even if fear traveled to you through family lines, carried in gestures and maxims, and the tense set of a jaw, biology is more violin than verdict. The score can be changed. The way you think, eat, move, rest, and love instructs your cells which parts to play louder and which to soften. Culture also leaves fingerprints on the psyche, yet across cultures we find the same parables of an obedient inner field. In the Upanishads, mind is a charioteer, guiding sense horses across the terrain of life. In Stoic practice, impression follows attention. Choose the ruling thought, and you inherit its world. Zen says, the mind is everything. The way is in the heart. Different languages, same map, attention plants. Repetition waters, feeling ripens, action harvests. You have tasted the paradox. In the morning, the gardener announces, today I will nourish the body, and at night, the hand, almost without consultation, reaches for what dulls it. You promise to save, and the old impulse spends. You set your heart on building, and an invisible softness unthreads your resolve. You are tempted to pronounce yourself weak, undisciplined, broken. But what you name failure is often an unauthorized truce between an exhausted captain and an ancient habit marching under yesterday's flag. Willpower is a precise instrument, a bright blade that cuts through a few tangled hours. The subconscious is a tide. It moves when you sleep. If the blade cuts against the tide, effort frays. If the blade carves a channel for the tide, effort becomes ease. So, the question shifts. Not, how do I fight myself harder? But how do I recruit what is already stronger? The answer begins in language the subconscious understands. It does not bargain with abstractions. It responds to images, to the temperature of emotion, to the simple present tense of a story, told as if it were already happening. Tell yourself, do not think of falling, and immediately you conjure a fall. The body tightens, the breath stutters, the mind rehearses the very fate it feared. But close your eyes and feel the wide board underfoot, the sure placement of each step, the wind as a friendly hand at your back, the laughter waiting at the far roof, and the nervous system records another memory. The garden accepts the new seed. If this sounds mystical, recall how athletes train when the stadium is empty. They see the arc of the ball before the ball exists. They feel the weight of a medal before metal touches skin. Machines in the lab confirm what poets promised. Imagined practice recruits the same networks as outward motion. The body becomes a long conversation between what the mind rehearses and what the muscles then learn to trust. Your life, too, is a performance you are already composing. The audience is the world. The orchestra is your nervous system. The conductor is the picture you insist on holding. There is a gentler power available than struggle. It begins in the hour bookends of the day when the gatekeeper drowses just before sleep, just after waking. In those liminal thresholds, the garden is turned, the clods are broken, moisture rises. A single sentence planted, then grows roots at once. You have perhaps been using these gates against yourself, falling asleep inside a rehearsal of problems, waking to a blue-lit litany of other people's emergencies. Change the order, and you will change the day. Fall asleep repeating a phrase that tastes like truth in your mouth. Wake and lay a picture upon the mind before the world makes its claim. The gardener will have set the rows. The garden will know what to do. This is not the naivete of ignoring difficulty. Storms come. Crops sometimes fail. Yet there is a difference between facing weather with a field already seeded in panic and facing weather with roots in the soil of composure. One is a life of reaction. The other is a life of authorship. The same rain that ruins an uncovered harvest becomes the blessing of a well-planned season. The difference is not the sky, but the story. Let this be your beginning. Assume radical authorship for your inner agriculture. Watch your intake as if it were seed stock. Words spoken casually at your own expense. Weed them. Stories inherited without examination. Lay them out in the light. Return what is not yours. Feed the field with images consonant with the life you say you desire. Add feeling gratitude, calm, quiet joy as the warm rain that makes images germinate. And repeat not as a punishment, but as the rhythm by which anything living grows. You will learn in the chapters ahead how to negotiate peace between the captain and the crew, how to re-script childhood decrees without betraying the love that spoke them, how to enlist imagination as an artisan rather than an escape, how to pray in the scientific sense, clear, simple present felt, and how to sleep like a craftsman who trusts the workshop continues in the dark. You will learn to place happiness at the front of the procession, not its end, to consult the oracle of your deeper mind, to disarm fear by giving it nobler work, and finally, to stand in the rare harmony that comes when choosing and becoming are the same act. The soil is generous, beyond measure. It has no pride in being right, only in being faithful. If you plant scarcity, it will grow scarcity with equal artistry, as it would grow abundance. If you plant resentment, it will train every vine toward proof. This is neither accusation nor doom. It is the happiest news imaginable. For if your harvest wasn't accidental, your next harvest need not be either. The future is not waiting somewhere else. It is germinating under your feet. The seed is what you dwell upon. The water is what you feel while dwelling. The sun is the steadiness with which you return to both. Stand now at the edge of your field. Feel the weight of the pouch at your hip. You have more seeds than you thought, images worth planting, words worth repeating, rituals worth loving, silences worth keeping. The old winds will still wander through, dropping souvenirs of yesterday. Let them pass. Choose your own handfuls. Bend to the earth with reverence. Whisper your orders kindly. The obedient mind listens. The obedient mind grows. And what it grows, you will one day walk inside and call by another name your life. Before we begin this transformative journey, take a moment to click the like button. It helps share this wisdom with others. Subscribe to stay inspired with every new release. I'd also love to hear your thoughts along the way. If a chapter or idea truly resonates with you, comment with the chapter number or a short note about why it stood out. Your reflections might inspire someone else on the same path. Your voice matters, and together, we can amplify the energy of conscious creation. Now, let's begin. Chapter 1. The Civil War of the Mind. You have felt it, that maddening contradiction, lodged at the center of human life. With the clarity of daylight, the conscious mind drafts its orders. Tomorrow I will eat only what nourishes me. This month I will save a portion of my income. I will begin the project I have dreamed of for years. The command is precise, the intention honest. Yet when the moment of execution arrives, something unseen wrests the wheel from your hands. The same body that declined sugar at sunrise finds itself at midnight sunk into the bottom of a box of cookies. The savings you vowed to protect dissolve in a sudden purchase. The long-awaited project sleeps untouched, buried under the weight of a fatigue you cannot explain. And then the verdict falls hardest on yourself. I am weak. I lack discipline. There is something broken in me. But what if this judgment is false? What if your willpower is intact, your discipline sufficient, your heart uncorrupted, yet you are trapped in a civil war you did not even know you were waging? This is the secret battlefield. The war between the conscious and the subconscious, the captain and the crew, the general and the silent army of habit. Psychology has long shown that the mind is not a single sovereign, but a divided kingdom. Neuroscience confirms what sages intuited: different circuits, different powers, different tempos shape your behavior. Your conscious mind is like a special operations unit, bright, precise, limited. Its general is willpower. Its weapons are logic, analysis, and deliberate planning. But this force tires quickly. Every decision drains its reserves, a phenomenon modern researchers call decision fatigue. Like a muscle, the conscious mind grows weary with use. The subconscious is different. Imagine a vast army, countless and ancient, commanded not by logic, but by memory, belief, and emotion. Its generals are habit and imagination. Its weapons are automatic patterns refined over years of repetition. It does not tire. It does not sleep. It does not question. What was once rehearsed enough times becomes law, and it follows those laws with relentless fidelity. Here lies the root of self-sabotage. The conscious captain demands one course, but the subconscious army marches under older banners. You may command, I will become prosperous. But if your subconscious is still ruled by decrees like money is dangerous, or I am undeserving, then the greater force will prevail. What feels like rebellion is in truth obedience to a script written long before you knew you had the right to edit it. Science illustrates this conflict vividly. Studies of habit formation show that once a neural pathway has been dug through repetition, the brain will prefer it even when the conscious self knows it leads to harm. A single decision is like one soldier storming a trench fortified by thousands of rehearsals. The soldier may succeed briefly, but the trench still stands waiting for the next retreat. Spiritual traditions describe the same truth in metaphor. In Buddhism, old karmic seeds sprout even when one aspires to new action. In Christian mysticism, Paul laments, "The good that I would I do not, but the evil, which I would not that I do." Across centuries, cultures agreed the mind is divided, and the battle is within. Yet the path forward is not endless war. The captain cannot whip the crew into loyalty through brute orders. The army must be retrained, not assaulted. Emotion always outruns logic, just as fire consumes ice. Habits engraved trenches in the psyche are stronger than isolated resolutions. The subconscious cannot be bullied. It must be persuaded, even befriended. Consider your self-sabotage not as an enemy, but as a misguided ally. The procrastination that halts your work may not be laziness at all, but a distorted protector whispering, "If you never finish, you can never fail." The overeating may not be gluttony, but an ancient reflex of comfort learned in childhood kitchens. The reluctance to save may be a pledge of loyalty to parents who once lived in scarcity. Your saboteur is often a loyal soldier carrying out orders given long ago. So what is the strategy? Not combat, but armistice. Not resistance, but renegotiation. To end the civil war of the mind, you must enter the enemy's camp and speak with its general. You must map the battlefield, interview the saboteur, and give your subconscious new orders, written in the language it understands: imagery, emotion, repetition. Exercise 1. The battlefield map. Take a page and divide it. On the left, write your conscious orders. I will exercise daily. I will save consistently. I will complete my work. On the right record, the actual outcomes: I go once a week. I spend impulsively. I scroll instead of writing. Beneath each outcome, search for the hidden belief. Exercise feels like punishment. Spending proves my freedom. Perfection is safer than progress. See the war not as weakness, but as conflicting commands. Exercise 2. Interview the saboteur. Choose one self-sabotaging behavior. Personify it. Write to it. Dear procrastination, what are you protecting me from? Let the answers rise without judgment. Perhaps procrastination says, I protect you from judgment. If you never present, you can never be ridiculed. Suddenly, the saboteur is revealed as a frightened guardian. Understanding transforms hostility into dialogue. Through such practices, the civil war begins to quiet, not because you have destroyed the army of habit, but because you have honored its loyalty and offered it a new mission. Instead of fighting yourself, you unify yourself. Instead of division, you inherit command. The truth is simple, though rarely taught. Self-sabotage is not evidence of weakness, but of misalignment. You are not defective. You are divided. The gardener is scattering one seed while the soil remembers another. The captain shouts one order, while the crew obeys an older plan. Harmony begins not by punishing the garden, but by choosing again, sowing consciously, instructing gently, yet persistently, until the soil yields a new harvest. You are not at war with an enemy. You are conversing with your own forgotten self. And when the two sides finally march under a single banner, what once felt impossible will unfold with the effortlessness of water finding its course. Chapter 2. The Origin of False Decrees. When we are born, our mind is not a fortress, but an open meadow. The walls of reasoning have not yet been built. The guards of critical thinking still sleep. For the first 7 years of life, our brain hums primarily in the gentle rhythm of theta waves, the same waves measured in hypnosis, meditation, and dream. In this receptive state, everything passes the gates unchallenged. Words, gestures, atmospheres, all of it seeps into the subconscious, not as opinions, but as laws. A child does not analyze, a child absorbs. Thus begins the writing of the earliest decrees, lines inscribed upon the book of your subconscious. Parents, siblings, teachers, the culture in which you grew, all became the scribes of your inner constitution. Some lines were loving, protective, and useful. Others, though perhaps well-intentioned, became shackles. Verbal programming is the first pen. Phrases spoken with repetition, especially by trusted voices, engrave themselves into the fertile soil. Be careful, the world is dangerous. Money doesn't grow on trees. Good boys don't cry. You'll never be as smart as your sister. These are not just passing sounds. To the child, they are decrees, unquestioned laws about reality. Later, when the adult attempts to take risks, to prosper, to weep openly, the subconscious army halts the advance. No. The decree forbids it. Even more potent is nonverbal programming, the silent modeling of those we love. A child absorbs atmosphere more than sermons. If you saw your parents greet conflict with anger, you learned that anger is the natural weapon. If you watched them collapse in worry each time bills arrived, you learned that money is a threat. If affection was scarce, you absorbed scarcity as the language of love. These silent lessons were absorbed, not in your ears, but in your nervous system. Understand this: even the most limiting programming was rarely malicious. Parents transmitted what they themselves had received. They passed on their survival codes, their maps for navigating a hostile world. They loved you with the only compass they had. But their maps were drawn for their own storms, and you are sailing other seas. Then the broader system continues the script. School teaches us to value the correct answer above the creative question, to fear the teacher's red ink more than the thrill of discovery. Society, through media and advertising, whispers daily that we are incomplete unless we buy, achieve, consume. The collective decree becomes, you are never enough as you are. You must chase worth in the marketplace. Thus, even before adulthood, a dense scroll of decrees unrolls within us. From this fusion of family voices, school corrections, and cultural suggestions, the inner critic emerges. This critic is no demon, but a misunderstood sentinel. Its original function was protective. The voice that once said, "Don't speak up, or you'll be scolded," was trying to shield you from pain. But the sentinel never received the memo that you grew up. It continues to treat you as a small child, in need of constant defense. What once shielded you becomes the jailer of your potential. When you hear the inner voice say, "You're not good enough," realize you are not hearing truth. You are hearing an echo of a parent's worry, a teacher's disappointment, a culture's insecurity. And echoes lose power the moment we recognize them for what they are. Liberation begins with awareness. You do not have to believe every echo. Exercise. 1. The echo of voices. Take your journal. Write down 3 to 5 recurring negative beliefs. I am unworthy. Success is for others. People cannot be trusted. Then ask gently, whose voice is this? Do not strain for logic. Trust the first image or memory that arises. Perhaps you see a parent's face, a teacher's scolding a childhood scene. Note it. In doing so, you create distance between yourself and the belief. You realize it is not your law, but a borrowed decree. Exercise 2. The tribe's unwritten rules. Every family is a tribe with invisible laws. Reflect what emotions were permitted. Was sadness unwelcome? Was anger dangerous? What was the rule about success, celebrated or viewed with suspicion? How was conflict handled openly or hidden away? Write down 3 rules that governed your childhood tribe. See how they may still govern you today, even as they clash with your adult desires. Exercise 3. The ceremony of return. Choose the most painful belief you've identified. Write a letter, not to be sent to its source, a parent, a teacher, society, or even your younger self. Write 3 parts. Expression. Speak all your pain, your anger, your grief. This belief has chained me. It told me I could not risk, could not love, could not be free. Understanding. Then write with compassion. I see now you gave me this belief to protect me. You taught me what you knew. You did the best you could. Release. End with sovereignty. With gratitude and respect, I return this belief to you. It is no longer mine. From this day, I choose new laws. Read the letter aloud, then burn or tear it, releasing smoke or fragments as symbols of liberation. Psychology names this process reframing. Neuroscience calls it memory reconsolidation. When a memory is recalled and paired with a new meaning, the neural encoding changes. Spiritual traditions call it forgiveness or release. Different terms, same truth. The past is not stone, but clay. The facts cannot be altered, but the meaning can be rewritten. Your subconscious script is not your fault, but rewriting it is your responsibility. No one else can do it. The pen is in your hand now. Begin to question the decrees. Begin to return the borrowed voices. Begin to speak in your own tongue. You are not condemned to live forever by the laws of a frightened child. You are the adult now. You are the sovereign. And the first act of sovereignty is this: to declare that your mind will no longer be ruled by echoes, but by the conscious decrees you choose today. Chapter 3. Imagination versus willpower. The law of conflict. Armed with the sharp sword of willpower, you have tried to rip out weeds by force. You have clenched your fists and commanded, I will not think of scarcity. I will not feel fear. I will not doubt myself. Yet the more you resist, the more those very thoughts and feelings rise up, strengthened by the very energy of your struggle. You end the battle exhausted, convinced that something in you is broken. But nothing is broken. You are simply using the wrong tool. The French psychologist Émile Coué articulated what he called the law of reversed effort. Whenever will and imagination clash, imagination wins without exception. You can prove this easily. Imagine a wooden plank, 10 meters long, lying flat on the ground. Could you walk across it? Of course, without hesitation. Now imagine that same plank stretched between 2 skyscrapers. Suddenly, your imagination conjures a fall, and though your will to cross remains, your legs tremble. Imagination has seized command. The subconscious is the realm of imagination. It does not calculate. It pictures. It does not debate. It feels. It does not operate in the future or the past. It responds to whatever image or story is vivid in this eternal moment. When your will shouts orders in the language of force, the subconscious simply follows the deeper, more ancient language of image and emotion. This is why affirmations spoken without feeling feel empty, and why fear rehearsed with vivid pictures feels inescapably real. Think of insomnia. You lie in bed commanding yourself, sleep. Sleep now. I must sleep. Yet the harder you insist, the more awake you become. Willpower shouts imagination, whispers, what if I can't sleep? What if tomorrow I'm ruined and the whisper wins? Or consider memory. The harder you force yourself to remember a forgotten name, the more blank your mind becomes. Only when you relax and stop trying does the name resurface. The subconscious understands a different dialect. Its language has three principal elements: images and symbols. The subconscious is pre-verbal. Tell it don't think of sickness, and immediately it produces the image of sickness. Tell it I am healthy, and it sees health. This is why visualization has been revered in spiritual traditions and is validated in neuroscience today. The brain's sensory cortices activate during imagined experiences almost as strongly as during physical ones. The body rehearses reality from pictures alone, feelings and emotions. An image without feeling is a sketch in sand. Add emotion, and it becomes carved in stone. The subconscious responds most powerfully to the feeling tone of an image. Imagine a vast bank account while secretly vibrating with anxiety, and what is impressed upon your subconscious is not wealth, but fear. Imagine even a modest vision of safety while feeling gratitude, and the subconscious records security. Emotion is the signature that validates an order. Stories and metaphors. The subconscious is enchanted by narrative. Myths, parables, legends, these bypass the critical filters of the conscious mind and plant their truth directly into the soil. This is why cultures across history passed wisdom through stories rather than essays. When you tell yourself a new story about who you are, the subconscious does not resist. It listens, remembers, and begins to conform reality to the tale. What follows from this is revolutionary imagination when disciplined is not escapism, but creation. Every bridge was once a dream across water. Every symphony was once a silent score in someone's mind. Every act of courage was once rehearsed in the theater of imagination. Neuroscience shows that athletes who mentally rehearse their sport activate the same motor circuits as those who physically train. The subconscious does not distinguish sharply between real and vividly imagined events. This principle liberates you. Instead of wrestling your subconscious with commands it cannot hear, you can offer it blueprints it understands. Don't imagine the struggle to achieve your goal. Imagine the goal achieved. Don't picture the effort of climbing the mountain. Picture the view from its summit. When the image is clear and the feeling natural, the subconscious accepts it as present reality and begins to mobilize every hidden resource to make it so. Exercise 1. The relaxation experiment. Sit comfortably. First, try to relax by force. Clench your muscles, grind your teeth, and command yourself. Relax. Notice how tension increases. This is willpower fighting in the wrong tongue. Now, release the effort. Imagine floating on warm water under a summer sky. Feel the sun on your skin, the gentle rocking of waves. Observe how the body unwinds without command. This is the language your subconscious obeys. Exercise 2. Mental rehearsal. Choose a small upcoming situation that stirs anxiety. A meeting, a conversation, a performance. Instead of dreading it, close your eyes and project a short film in which everything unfolds well. See yourself. Calm the other person. Receptive. The conclusion. Harmonious. Do not focus on the mechanics. Focus on the feeling. Pride, relief, joy. Repeat this scene several times before the event. You are not controlling the future. You are instructing your subconscious to meet it from a state of success. Here is the key. Stop struggling. Start imagining. The captain may issue commands, but the crew builds the ship. Speak to the crew in its native tongue, pictures, feelings, stories. Offer it visions infused with gratitude and confidence. And watch as imagination, once an unconscious saboteur, becomes your most faithful architect. Chapter 4. The Art of Scientific Prayer. Joseph Murphy called it scientific prayer. Not prayer in the conventional sense of pleading with an external deity, but prayer as a precise method, the conscious sowing of chosen seeds into the subconscious field. It is scientific because it follows laws, as consistent as gravity, as intimate as breath. When understood, these laws allow you to re-script your inner decrees with clarity and certainty. At its heart, scientific prayer is autosuggestion, the deliberate act of choosing the thoughts, words, and images that will become the subconscious blueprint of your life. Unlike idle positive thinking, which often collapses in the face of doubt, true autosuggestion is a disciplined dialogue with your inner giant. Each phrase you impress upon the subconscious is like a seed. If watered with emotion and repetition, it takes root and grows into lived reality. The principle is simple. Whatever the subconscious accepts as true, it tirelessly enacts. The task, then, is to offer it the kind of truth you want embodied. But why do affirmations so often fail? Because they are issued in the wrong language. Effective autosuggestion rests upon 4 immutable principles: simplicity and clarity. The subconscious does not respond to intellectual complexity. Long abstract statements pass over it like clouds. The language must be short, concrete, unmistakable. Compare these 2 affirmations. I am developing a multifaceted strategy to optimize my financial well-being. Money flows to me easily and constantly. The first is a report for the conscious mind. The second is a decree the subconscious understands. Present tense. The subconscious lives only in the eternal now. Tell it, I will be successful, and it hears. Success is perpetually in the future, never today. Tell it, I am successful, and it hears, success is now. By affirming in present tense, you collapse the gap between desire and fulfillment. Emotional charge. Thought without feeling is a sterile seed. Add emotion, and it germinates. Neuroscience confirms memories tagged with strong emotion engrave deeper neural pathways. Spiritual traditions echo prayer. Without fervor is empty. Before repeating an affirmation, pause and summon the feeling as though it were already true. Calm gratitude, joy. Then speak. The words become vessels carrying the current of emotion into the subconscious. Persistence. One seed scattered does not yield a harvest. The subconscious is a field deeply furrowed by decades of old beliefs. To carve new grooves, you must repeat the new decree until it becomes the easier path. Repetition engraves habit, consolidates, and habit becomes belief. Think of the brain as a dirt road. Old beliefs have carved deep ruts. A new affirmation is like a new track. Drive it once, and the old ruts still dominate. Drive it daily, and the new track deepens until the wheels naturally fall into it. This is persistence, not frantic effort, but patient consistency. Creating your master. Affirmations. Step 1. Identify the goal. Choose a clear area of transformation. Health, finance, relationships, confidence. Be precise. Step 2. Rewrite as a present fact. I want to be more confident becomes, I am confident in my work. I need more money becomes money comes to me in abundance. Step 3. Add emotional resonance. Enrich the statement with feeling I am confident in my work, and I feel calm strength in every task I complete. Step 4. Ritualize. Repetition without rhythm is fragile. Anchor your affirmations to daily portals of heightened receptivity upon waking before sleep or during moments of meditation. One of Murphy's most powerful techniques was the lullaby method. Just before sleep, when the conscious guard lowers, repeat your affirmation softly, gently, as if singing yourself into a new reality. Fall asleep with the phrase echoing in your mind, and the subconscious will work on it all night. Overcoming resistance. As you practice, expect the old captain, the conscious mind, to resist. This is silly. You're lying to yourself. Recognize this not as truth, but as the protest of outdated leadership. Smile at it. Do not fight it. Return to your practice. With time, the inner critic grows quieter, as the subconscious grows more convinced. Also expect impatience. We plant a seed and want fruit tomorrow. But just as no farmer digs up the soil each day to check the sprout, you must trust the hidden growth. Affirmations are not magic spells. They are instructions to an obedient servant who needs time to reorganize your life according to the new decree. Science agrees consistent repetition of new thoughts reshapes neural pathways. Spirituality affirms belief, transforms reality. Social psychology shows people embody the identities they rehearse. Across disciplines, the message converges: speak to yourself with authority, and your life will bend to the command. A final truth: autosuggestion is not trickery. You are not deceiving yourself. You are reminding yourself of deeper truths. To affirm love, abundance, health is not to fabricate fantasy, but to align with universal laws that already exist in potential. Your subconscious is not a stranger. It is your oldest ally waiting for clear orders. So speak them. Speak them simply. Speak them with feeling. Speak them again and again, until your inner field is planted only with seeds of your choosing. For what you decree today will be the harvest of your tomorrow. Chapter 5. Healing the book of your life. Your life is a manuscript written page by page in the ink of experience. Yet many of its earliest chapters were inscribed when you were too young to understand the meaning of the words. A single moment of humiliation, a betrayal too sharp for a child's heart, a loss too heavy for small hands. These became decrees etched into your subconscious. Each decree, though irrational, became law. A childhood wound says, "Do not trust, or you will be hurt." A failure whispers, "Do not try, or you will be shamed." A loss cries, "Do not love, or you will lose again." Thus the past, though gone, becomes an active agent in the present. We live under invisible laws written years ago, and when we attempt to build futures of trust, success, or love upon these old decrees, it is like constructing a cathedral upon cracked foundations. No matter how beautiful the spires, the structure trembles. Yet here lies one of the most liberating discoveries of both psychology and spiritual philosophy. The past is unchangeable in fact, but infinitely changeable in meaning. We cannot alter what occurred, but we can alter the interpretation. And by altering the meaning, we alter its power. Modern neuroscience confirms this. When a memory is recalled, it becomes pliable for a brief window before being reconsolidated. If during that window we pair it with new emotion, new interpretation, the brain rewrites the memory's impact. What once encoded shame can be re-encoded as wisdom. What once meant abandonment can be reinterpreted as resilience. This is the art of healing, not erasure, but editing. You become the wise editor of your own manuscript, rewriting pages of pain into chapters of power. Spiritual traditions have long practiced this. Forgiveness rituals in Christianity, confession ceremonies in Buddhism, ancestral healing rites in indigenous cultures all acknowledge that old wounds must be given new meaning before the soul can move freely. There are 3 pillars of this healing forgiveness: reinterpretation of failure and release from guilt. 1. Forgiveness. Cutting the chains. Forgiveness is not absolution for the offender. It does not deny the harm, nor demand reconciliation. Forgiveness is sacred selfishness, the act of releasing yourself from chains. To forgive is to give your subconscious a new command. I choose peace over pain. I release this story as my identity. It is a choice to cancel the old order that demanded perpetual suffering. 2. Reinterpreting failure. Mining for gold. Failure is a brutal teacher, but a precise one. A failed business may feel like a death sentence, but it also bestows lessons. No classroom could give resilience, humility, strategic clarity. A broken relationship may carve loneliness into your heart, but it also reveals what you truly value in love. By reinterpreting failure as education, you transform its decree from "I am unworthy" into "I am wiser." The subconscious obeys whichever story you choose. 3. Releasing guilt. Ending the sentence. Guilt is resentment turned inward. It is a self-imposed punishment, a trial without end. But guilt, too, can be rescripted. Understand this truth. At every moment of your past, you acted with the consciousness, knowledge, and emotional resources you had. If you had known better, you would have done better. Compassion for your younger self is not indulgence, it is justice. To forgive yourself is to tell the subconscious, the sentence is over. I am free to begin again. Exercises for healing the book of life. The forgiveness ceremony. Sit quietly. Imagine the person or event before you. Speak silently all the unspoken anger and grief. Then visualize a golden light enveloping you both. Say, I release you. And in releasing you, I release myself. Finally, imagine cutting a cord that connects you. Feel the weight dissolve. The failure rewrite. In your journal, describe a past failure in the old narrative. The pain, the loss, the humiliation. Then write it again. Searching for the gold, the lessons, the strengths forged, the redirection it provided. Give this page a new title. The Year I Learned Resilience, instead of The Year I Failed. The Self-Forgiveness Trial. Picture yourself in a courtroom accused of your past mistake. Then step into the role of Judge Wise, compassionate, infinitely understanding. Render your verdict, not guilty. Sentence served, free to live anew. Let this verdict echo in your subconscious until the old guilt dissolves. To heal the book of your life is to reclaim authorship. The facts of your past are fixed, but the meaning is fluid, and meaning is what your subconscious obeys. By revising the script, you declare, I am no longer the prisoner of yesterday. I am the author of today and the architect of tomorrow. Your book is not finished. New chapters await, and from this moment, you hold the pen. Chapter 6. The Night Mind, Your Solution Lab. Imagine this: a king sits in his throne room, surrounded by counselors, courtiers, and guards. Every request must pass through layers of skepticism, debate, and delay. This is your conscious mind, during the day alert, rational, protective, but often resistant. Yet when the king retires to his private chamber at night alone and unguarded, his ear is open. In that moment, if you whispered a suggestion, it would reach him directly without interference. So, it is with your mind. Twice every 24 hours, the gatekeeper relaxes once, as you drift into sleep, and again, as you emerge from it. In these liminal states, the brain moves into alpha and theta waves, the same rhythms of childhood learning and deep meditation. Critical resistance is lowered, and the subconscious is unusually receptive. Ideas planted, then fall into soil, freshly tilled. They germinate with extraordinary speed. Yet most of us squander these golden portals. We fall asleep rehearsing worries, reviewing failures, predicting disasters. In doing so, we hand the subconscious a blueprint of fear to labor over all night. Then we wake and immediately flood our tender open mind with the chaos of headlines, emails, and scrolling screens. We deliver the first command of the day, not from sovereignty, but from noise. The ancients knew better. The Egyptians practiced dream incubation in sacred temples, entering sleep with questions for the gods. The Greeks sought healing visions through Asclepian rites. Indigenous traditions across the world honored dawn dreams as messages from the spirit world. Today, neuroscience affirms the same mystery. The sleeping mind reorganizes information, solves problems, and integrates emotion far more effectively than the waking mind. To claim the night mind is to become a 24-hour architect of your reality. Sleep is not absence. It is collaboration with deeper intelligence. 3 nightly techniques for reprogramming the subconscious. Lullaby. Affirmation. Reduce your desire to a simple phrase, charged with emotion. I am at peace. Thank you for my abundance. As you drift into sleep, repeat it softly, rhythmically, as though singing yourself into a new reality. Do not force belief. Let the words float like a lullaby to your subconscious. Make sure it is the last conscious thought before you surrender to dreams. The nightly cinema visualization. Select a short mental film of your desire fulfilled, the handshake after success, the laughter in a healed relationship, the relief of debt released. As you lie in that twilight state, project the scene vividly. Add sensory detail, the sound of applause, the warmth of embrace, the smell of a new home. Most importantly, feel the core emotion: gratitude, joy, calm. Fall asleep inside the scene as if it were your current reality. The nightly counsel, problem solving. When faced with a dilemma, hand it over. In your drowsy state, your request clearly: infinite intelligence of my subconscious. You know the perfect solution. I release this problem to you now. Reveal the answer to me in clarity and peace. Then, let go. Do not clutch the problem. Trust. Often the solution arrives as a morning insight, a dream symbol, or a sudden synchronicity the next day. Daily practices to support the night mind. The sleep sanctuary. Your bedroom must signal safety. Dim lights, no screens for an hour before bed, and a darkened space free from distractions. The body responds to these cues by releasing melatonin, the hormone of rest. The dawn journal. Keep a notebook by your bed. Upon waking, before touching your phone, record any impressions, dreams, or ideas. These are often the night mind's reports, fragile and fleeting, if not captured immediately. 1 technique. 1 month. Do not scatter your practice. Choose one method, lullaby, cinema, or counsel, and commit for at least 30 days. Consistency teaches your subconscious to expect the ritual, amplifying its effect. Remember, sleep is not a pause in creation. It is when the most profound construction occurs. While the conscious captain rests, the crew works tirelessly in the engine room, aligning reality to the blueprints you provided. If you feed the night mind with fear, it will craft more fear. Feed it with gratitude, vision, or trust, and it will labor to bring those seeds into form. The choice is yours, made each evening and each dawn. What would change if you understood that even while you sleep, you are still creating? What kind of life would unfold if your nights became laboratories of wisdom instead of theaters of worry? The answer awaits in the garden of your dreams. Chapter 7. The habit of happiness. We are taught often unconsciously to postpone joy. I'll be happy when I graduate. I'll be happy when I find love. I'll be happy when I am wealthy enough, secure enough, admired enough. Thus, happiness is dangled before us, like a carrot tied to a stick, forever ahead, never here. Life becomes a long chase for conditions that always shift just beyond reach. But Joseph Murphy insisted on a radical reversal. Happiness is not a prize. It is a habit. It is not the end of the journey, but the starting point. Joy is not bestowed by fortune. It is commanded by the sovereign mind. Unhappiness, therefore, is not an unavoidable fate, but simply the result of faulty mental programming, rehearsed so many times that misery has become the default soundtrack of the soul. Think of the subconscious as an obedient musician. If every day you hum the melody of complaint, of worry, of comparison, the orchestra will learn to play in that key. The subconscious, loyal and uncritical, repeats what you practice. If instead you rehearse gratitude, kindness, curiosity, the orchestra will change its score. Over time, happiness ceases to be an extraordinary performance. It becomes the natural rhythm of your life. Science echoes this spiritual truth. Neuroscientists have shown that gratitude literally rewires the brain-strengthening neural pathways associated with dopamine and serotonin, the chemistry of joy. Social psychology demonstrates that moods are contagious. By practicing happiness, you broadcast a frequency that uplifts not only yourself, but everyone within your circle. Philosophers from the Stoics to the Buddhists remind us joy is not the absence of pain, but the trained perspective with which we meet pain. So, the question is not, how can I become happy, but how can I install the habit of happiness until it becomes my mind's default program? Command 1. The Morning Decree. The first thoughts of the day are seeds for the next 16 hours. Upon waking before the world intrudes, place your hand upon your heart and declare, "Today I choose happiness." I order my subconscious to interpret all events in ways that bring me peace, growth, and joy. Do not mumble it as a wish. Speak it as a decree. This is not decoration. It is navigation. Command 2. The Mental Diet. You cannot feast on negativity and expect health. Protect your mental nutrition. Limit your intake of sensationalist news and social media that profit from outrage. Refuse the addictive pleasure of complaint. Each complaint is a subconscious command. Give me more of this dissatisfaction. Instead, practice reframing. If you are tempted to complain about traffic, reframe it as this is time to breathe, to listen, to be. Create a circle of companions who uplift, not drain. Happiness grows best in good soil. Command 3. The Gratitude Anchor. Choose a simple physical gesture, perhaps pressing your thumb and forefinger together. Each time you feel genuine gratitude, perform this gesture. Over time, your nervous system will anchor gratitude to that motion. Later, in moments of stress, you can perform the gesture and instantly summon the state of gratitude. This is not mystical. It is neuro-linguistic conditioning. The body becomes a switch. You can flip toward joy. Exercises for cultivating the habit of happiness. Morning and evening ritual. Upon waking, declare your decree of happiness. At night, record 3 good things that occurred that day, however small. This book ends your day with positive suggestion, training your subconscious to search for joy. 7-day negativity. Fast. For 1 week, abstain completely from complaining out loud or silently. Wear a bracelet and switch wrists each time you complain. The goal, keep it on one wrist all day. By the end of a week, you will see how often unhappiness was a mere habit of speech. Creating your joy anchor. Recall a vivid moment of pure happiness, a childhood laugh, a breathtaking view, a triumph you once savored. Close your eyes and relive it with all senses until emotion peaks. At that peak, press your chosen physical anchor. Repeat. In time, your body will remember joy at your command. The obedient mind will always comply with the orders it receives most often. If every day it hears life is heavy, people are cruel, nothing works out, it will create a world to match. If instead it hears I choose joy, I choose peace, I choose gratitude, it will orchestrate reality to harmonize with that melody. Happiness is not naive denial. It does not mean you never encounter grief, anger, or difficulty. It means you have trained your inner orchestra to always return to a key of harmony, no matter the dissonance of passing notes. In this way, happiness becomes not an accident, but a discipline, not the reward of fortune, but the command of sovereignty. You are the gardener, and happiness is the most vital seed. Plant it each morning, water it each night. Protect it from the weeds of complaint. Anchor it in your body. With time, the habit of happiness will grow into a forest so natural that even storms cannot uproot it. For when happiness becomes your base state, life itself transforms. Every problem becomes easier, every relationship warmer, every opportunity clearer. And more than this, happiness is a frequency that resonates with higher intelligence. When you vibrate in joy, you tune yourself to the wisdom that created galaxies. Joy is not the prize at the end of the journey. Joy is the road itself. Chapter 8. The Connection to Infinite Wisdom. There is a mind beneath your mind, a vast and silent intelligence that has never known fatigue, that has never ceased guiding the growth of trees, the beating of your heart, the turning of stars. Some call it the subconscious, others the universal mind. Mystics have called it the logos, the Tao, the Akashic field. Scientists describe it in fragments, quantum coherence, collective unconscious field of information. The names differ, but the essence is one you are connected to, an intelligence far greater than your conscious thought. Your conscious mind is like a personal computer, powerful, but limited to the data it holds. Your subconscious, however, is the network card. It connects you to the infinite internet of wisdom. Most people live as if offline, relying only on the small cache of their personal experience. But the moment you activate your connection, you draw from an inexhaustible reservoir that holds solutions, insights, and creative visions beyond your isolated logic. This communication rarely arrives as syllogism or lecture. Infinite wisdom speaks the native language of the subconscious intuition, inspiration, dream, and synchronicity. You have tasted this before, the sudden certainty that you must take a different road, the solution that appeared in a dream, the conversation overheard at just the right moment. These are not accidents. They are answers delivered by an intelligence that transcends your conscious planning. To consult this inner oracle, you must learn the art of asking. The process is simple yet sacred, clear definition. The subconscious is a master builder, but a poor mind reader. You must first clarify the problem. A vague plea. Help me. I'm lost yields vague results. Instead, sharpen the question. What is the most aligned step I can take in my career? Now. Clarity loads the subconscious with the material it needs to construct an answer. Command of faith. Once defined, the request must be handed over with authority and trust, not as begging, but as declaration. Just before sleep, when the conscious guard lowers, affirm infinite intelligence within me, you already know the solution. I release this problem into your care. Reveal it to me in clarity and peace. Thank you. Faith is not naive belief, it is the courage to plant a seed without digging it up every hour to see if it grows. Absolute surrender. After the command, let go completely. Obsessive worrying is like trampling the soil where you just sowed a seed. Release it to the deeper mind. Turn to rest or to gratitude. Trust that the answer is forming even in silence. The way's answers arrive. The morning report. Upon waking, a clear idea may flash before your mind. This is the subconscious delivering overnight work. Synchronicity. The world itself becomes messenger. A book falls open to the exact page you needed. A stranger's remark contains your answer. Jung called this meaningful coincidence, not random, but orchestrated. The intuitive impulse. A sudden urge to call someone to visit a place to try a different approach. Logic cannot justify it, yet following it often reveals the solution. To receive you must practice relaxed alertness, not anxious searching, but quiet watchfulness like a hunter listening for the faint crack of a twig in the forest. The answer may whisper. Be attentive. Exercises for opening the channel. Nightly question ritual. Before bed, write your question in your journal with maximum clarity. Read it once, then hand it over. I release this now. Fall asleep trusting the deeper mind. In the morning, write down any impressions or dreams before rising. The Intuition Journal. Dedicate pages to recording intuitive hunches. Create 3 columns. The intuition. The action. The outcome. Over time, you will build evidence that your inner oracle is reliable training your conscious mind to trust. Synchronicity. Awareness. Spend a week living as if every coincidence were a message. Do not force meaning, but remain curious. The world will begin to shimmer with patterns, and your subconscious will attune itself to reading them. Philosophers like Plato believed knowledge was recollection, not discovery, that truth already exists in the soul, waiting to be remembered. Quantum theorists today hint that consciousness is woven into the universe's very fabric. Spiritual mystics have long taught that when the small self surrenders, the great self speaks. This is the invitation to stop living as an isolated ego, scratching for solutions, and to awaken as a conduit of infinite wisdom. The answers you seek are not far away. They are one level beneath your noise, waiting to rise. When you learn to ask with clarity, to command with faith, and to surrender with trust, you become not a seeker, begging from the universe, but a partner in dialogue with it. The oracle is not outside you. The oracle is you, your subconscious, as the bridge to the infinite. And once you know how to listen, you will never walk alone again. Chapter 9. Conquering Fear. The Inner Guardian. Fear is the silent jailer of human potential. It does not storm the gates with swords, it whispers, paints, shadows, and convinces you to lock yourself inside. It does not live in the world. It lives in your imagination. Fear is a film. Your mind directs a vivid projection of catastrophe onto a screen of possibilities. The body, unable to tell the difference between imagined threat and real danger, obeys with trembling, with hesitation, with paralysis. To understand fear is to understand that it is not an enemy, but a misuse of your own magnificent creative faculty. The same imagination that births visions of triumph can be hijacked to fabricate nightmares. And because your subconscious takes every repeated image as an order, the movie of fear becomes a blueprint your life begins to follow. Fear is not prophecy, but when rehearsed enough, it becomes self-fulfilling. Joseph Murphy insisted that fear is conquered not by battle, but by substitution. You cannot shout away a shadow. You must turn on the light. You cannot banish a fearful thought with willpower alone. You must replace it with a greater thought of faith, trust, or victory. The mind cannot hold two conflicting images with equal intensity. One must dominate, and the image charged with stronger emotion will always prevail. The triumph film technique is the art of using the same imaginative power that creates fear to dissolve it. Name the fear. Fear thrives in vagueness. Bring it into sharp focus. Not I fear failure, but I fear that during my presentation, I will freeze my mind, will go blank, and I will be humiliated. Naming the monster shrinks its mythic size. Direct the opposite movie. Write and visualize the triumphant opposite. Imagine the moment after the presentation, the applause, the relief, the pride, the handshake of your superior, saying that was brilliant. The subconscious responds not to the absence of fear, but to the presence of triumph. Project with persistence. Each time fear arises, treat it as a trigger. Here is my cue to play the triumph film. Close your eyes, even briefly project the victorious ending, and saturate it with emotion. Especially before sleep, immerse yourself in this inner cinema until joy and confidence feel natural. Over time, repetition creates new neural grooves. Just as fear once became automatic, through rehearsal, faith and courage become the new autopilot. Exercises for fear mastery. Fear inventory and triumph script. In your journal list your 3 most persistent fears. For each write a detailed triumph script, the opposite scene where success is undeniable. Describe the sound, sights, feelings. These are your new inner films. 21-day exorcism. Choose one fear to target intensively. For 21 days, each time it surfaces, refuse to dwell. Immediately play your triumph film. End each night projecting it until you fall asleep. Consistency builds new circuitry. The gratitude substitution. When anxiety floods, you shift to gratitude. It is biochemically impossible to feel genuine gratitude and fear at the same time. Keep a gratitude anchor, a gesture or phrase that instantly reorients your state. Modern psychology confirms what ancient wisdom declared: exposure therapy works, not by erasing fear, but by teaching the brain a new story. Neuroplasticity proves that repeated focus rewires pathways. Spiritual traditions remind us that fear is faith, inverted faith, in a negative outcome. To conquer fear is to reclaim faith in life's benevolence. You will still feel fear. To be human is to feel it. Courage is not its absence, but the decision to walk with faith, louder than fear. Each time you substitute a film of triumph for one of terror, you tell your subconscious, "This is the script I choose," and the obedient mind, loyal as always, begins to execute. Thus, the guardian of fear, once a jailer, becomes a guide. It no longer shrinks your world, but reminds you of your power to choose. For beyond every shadow of fear, the light of faith is waiting to be switched on. Chapter 10. The Harmonious Mind. When captain and crew are one. What happens when the battle ceases? when the conscious captain and the subconscious crew no longer war with one another but march under the same banner. The result is harmony, a state where inner conflict dissolves, and life becomes not a struggle, but a symphony. In this state of unity, the conscious mind no longer exhausts itself, issuing commands contradicted by old subconscious programming. Instead, both forces move as one organism, one intelligence, one will. The energy once wasted on sabotage is liberated, flowing into creation, insight, and joy. You become like a river, unblocked, effortless in its movement, unstoppable in its direction. The qualities of the harmonious mind are unmistakable, effortless action. What once required discipline now arises naturally. Healthy habits, productive work, courageous steps, they feel inevitable, as if carried by a current, rather than forced by oars. Unbroken intuition. The channel to infinite wisdom becomes steady. Guidance, inspiration, solutions appear not sporadically but continuously like a stream. You act with confidence because the inner critic has quieted. Emotional sovereignty. You still feel the full spectrum of human emotion, but you are no longer their prisoner. Sadness visits, anger arises, but they pass like clouds across a vast sky. You remain the sky, untouched. Accelerated manifestation. With no conflicting orders, your signal to the universe is clear. Desire and belief are aligned. The subconscious, obedient and tireless, moves without resistance to manifest the blueprint you have chosen. The captain's role transforms. No longer a micromanaging tyrant, the conscious mind becomes a lighthouse keeper. Its task is to hold the vision, the destination with clarity. The subconscious, the loyal crew, executes tirelessly, navigating storms and currents with hidden genius. Captain and crew, once adversaries, become partners in mastery. Daily rituals of harmony. The morning tune-up. Before the world intrudes, take 5 minutes for alignment. Begin with gratitude for 3 things. Declare your main intention for the day. Today, I walk with calm confidence. Visualize the day ending successfully, feel the emotion, and hand the blueprint to your subconscious. The conscious check-in. Set small reminders during the day. Pause, breathe, and ask, am I aligned with my morning order? If not, gently recalibrate. This prevents old programming from regaining command. The nightly report. Before sleep, review the day with gratitude, even for challenges. Release any conflict into the care of your subconscious, commanding it to find solutions as you rest. End with your nightly lullaby, or mental cinema, seeding tomorrow's reality. This state of harmony has been likened across cultures to enlightenment, to the Tao, to inner union with the divine. The Bhagavad Gita calls it yoga union. The Stoics called it ataraxia, tranquil balance. Modern psychology names it coherence. All agree it is the pinnacle of human potential. Imagine your life as an orchestra. For years, each instrument played its own score, fear pounding its drums, doubt screeching its violins, resentment muttering in the bass. Chaos reigned. You mistook this noise for life itself. But now, as conductor, you lift the baton. You do not silence instruments. You assign them new notes. Fear becomes courage's steady rhythm. Doubt softens into inquiry. Joy swells like a triumphant brass section. The orchestra, once cacophonous, plays a symphony of your choosing. This is the harmonious mind, not the absence of voices, but the integration of them. Not silence, but music. Not suppression, but mastery. The baton is in your hand. The score is your conscious choice. And the concert, the magnificent, unrepeatable concert of your life, awaits your signal to begin. Raise your hand. The hall grows quiet. The musicians await. And with one gesture, the symphony of your new life begins. Conclusion. The Great Awakening of the Inner Giant. Every page of this journey has been a call to remembrance that you are not a victim of chance, not a prisoner of old programming, not condemned to repeat the past. You are the gardener of your mind, the captain of your ship, the conductor of your inner orchestra. Within you lives a servant of infinite loyalty, your subconscious awaiting the clear, noble orders of your conscious will. We began with the recognition of the civil war of the mind, where conscious desires and subconscious beliefs battled endlessly, leaving you exhausted. We uncovered the false decrees written in childhood, the inherited scripts of family and culture. We discovered the law that imagination outruns willpower, and that the subconscious speaks in images, emotions, and stories. We practiced scientific prayer and autosuggestion, the art of planting seeds in fertile soil. We rewrote the painful pages of the past, reinterpreting failure, releasing guilt, and forgiving. We learned to use sleep as a sacred laboratory, handing our desires to the night mind. We installed the habit of happiness, understanding it not as reward, but as command. We opened the channel to infinite wisdom, trusting synchronicity, intuition, and inspiration. We transmuted fear into faith, shadows into light, and at last, we arrived at the harmonious mind captain and crew, conscious and subconscious, unified in vision and power. What emerges from this path is a human being, transformed, one who does not fight against themselves, but collaborates with the deepest layers of their own intelligence. One who no longer begs the universe for scraps, but speaks as co-creator with the very laws that govern reality. The work does not end here. Mastery is not a final destination, but a daily practice of alignment. Each morning, you choose again. Each thought, you plant anew. Each night, you hand your blueprint to the infinite workshop within. Slowly, steadily, the harvest of your new seeds will appear. The philosopher Plotinus wrote, "Withdraw into yourself and look. And if you do not find yourself beautiful, yet act as the sculptor of a statue, cut away polish until you shine." This book has been your chisel, your polishing cloth, your guide to the hidden giant within. Now the tools are in your hands. The orchestra waits. The soil is tilled. The ship is ready to sail. Raise the baton. Plant the seed. Speak the decree. The universe listens always. Your new life, one of harmony, joy, and creation, begins now. Thank you for listening with an open mind and heart. If a certain chapter or insight resonated most with you, share it in the comments. You might help someone else find exactly what they need today. Keep this book saved so you can return to its words whenever life calls for reflection or guidance. I wish you health, peace, and wisdom in every step you take.